Welcome all. Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook. Looking at DXY on the daily. Well, on the weekly, we've got that A, B, C. I'm still looking at this as a correction here on the daily, and we get more downside. Last week, I don't believe we had broken this low here yet, but now we've broken this low here. So we've got a lower low now. So if we get a correction in here, you can look to sell to go and break the low. And I'd be looking to target this 100 fib here on the weekly. AU, we've got a breakout in here. Overall, I'm looking at that, well, on the weekly, an A, all this is a B, and we're looking at that C up. Before we get a larger C down. So, been looking at this flat in here. This looks complete now. Well, we got a nice impulse up. So if we get a correction in here next week or next couple of weeks, really, you can look to buy. And again, I'd be targeting this 100 fib here of this, like this A, B, C. So I'd be targeting that 100 fib there. But like I said, we got to wait for a correction. You can't just jump in up the top here. You got to wait for a correction. Whenever this starts to correct, you got to wait for a nice correction and then get a buy set up, and you look to buy it. And like I mentioned, I'd be targeting that daily fib. GU, it did complete the ABC, like this A, B, C. But like I've been mentioning, this looks very corrective for more upside. So it's starting to break out, but there's still. I mean, I was looking for this like 1, 2, 3, a possible wave 4, and then a wave 5 down, and this still can give us another one down in here. But there is no sell setup, and there were a couple of buys on it like this here. That was a clear buy in here to get another leg up. It's given us another leg up, and we've lost all the divergence. So you definitely could wait for a correction here and look to buy, because we don't have any of that divergence there. So more than likely we'll get another correction in here. It does start to look like it is giving a correction. If we do get a correction in there and you get a buy set up, you could look to buy for another leg up. EU on the daily, this one bounced clean off that 100 fib on the A, B, C. Bounced clean off that 100 fib. But again, on the H4, this was looking very choppy and looking very corrective. So we're still looking for more upside. It's been very difficult because, like I've mentioned, we had a bear hidden here. Between that top and that top there was a bear hidden in here. It did give us a very deep correction in here. And there was a possibility that this was a flat here too, like an A, a B, and we get a C down. Well, this C down didn't go and break the low. It only broke the ending point of that wave A. So now it is going to be quite difficult to get in. If we have a look at the price action, it doesn't look real impulsive. Like this in here, it's very choppy. So what's to say that we don't get some sort of an A, a B, a C in here, a flat, and then we get some sort of an A, B, C, or it turns motive and goes and breaks the top on the daily. So ideally, I'd like to see a quite a impulsive waves similar to this over here. And then if we get a buy set up, well, then we can look to buy. Yeah. I mean, I would be waiting for this, like a similar size impulse to this over here. And then I'd start to look for buys. If you start, yeah, if you get in too early, well, your stop loss is going to be too large for your risk reward. So we'll see how far this comes down. As for sells, there is no sell in this. Like it, it's already given the sell. Like with this here, from the top, it gave a lower low here, that lower low there. Then look, this is a correction. But then we had 3 down in here. So this can be more complex, and we just get an A, B, C here on the H1, and then we get more downside. And again, it may just be a C down, or it may turn motive and we get 5 down. So yeah, you got to be patient here, before you look for the buy. NU is one that I really would like to get on, but it hasn't given me any buy setup. That's a problem. I'm looking at this like A, B, and we get a C up in here on the weekly. But I've been looking at this A, B, C, this expanding flat here for a very long time. And like I've gone over many times before in previous weekly outlooks, until that low is broken, I'm still looking at this as a flat for like an A, B, C. Now we do have a nice impulse up here from a low, which is nice. I'm just waiting. Just have to adjust that a little bit. Went up a little bit higher since my last outlook, daily outlook. But we got a nice impulse up. So I'm waiting for this correction. If we get a nice correction in here, I'll be looking to buy, and I'll be targeting that 100 fib on the daily. This one here. You could, I mean, I'm not going to go into it here, but I put it on the end of this wave A to the B to the C. But yeah, I'll be looking to target this if I get an entry on it. GY, it's still going up. I'm still looking at all this as a correction. It's just about breaking the top here. I'll just check to see if it has or not. It hasn't quite broken the top over here, but that doesn't matter if it doesn't. Like I've gone over before, we can get like a WXY, an X2 and a Z up in here, and then get the A, B, C as a larger correction before we get that wave 5 up on the weekly. So, I'm really only looking for, this C down, or at least a correction a similar size to this. So I'll be looking for this wave in here, over here, looking to get into that A wave. You can see on the H4, we've got a lot of bearish divergence here. That's why I wouldn't be really looking for a buy. You got to be careful if you're looking for a buy when you got this much bearish divergence. Bearish divergence doesn't mean it's going to fall over. It just means that it starts to get risky, and yeah, you don't want to get caught on the wrong side of the trade. Once you start to get this bearish divergence, even on the H1 here, we're getting that bearish divergence. So what I'd like to see is this come up and break this top at least. I mean, this may have been a flat here, and we've got, more upside. It does look like that. And I think I was actually looking for that too, because we had flat in here for 1, 2, 3 up, breaking this top, and then we got the flat, it's already gone up. I mean, there's more than likely more upside, but wherever this wave ends, and if we get a nice impulse down and a correction, well, I'll be more interested in a sell than buying up the top of the market. UI, nothing's changed. It's I'm looking at all this as a correction, and we get like an A, B, C in here, and then possibly an A, B, C, like I've gone over before. It can turn quite complex. But overall, I'm looking for downside for this C down in here, this A, B, C. It hasn't been giving us any sell setups, and it still hasn't. And more than likely, it'll go up and break the top because we have this ball hidden here. So we have that ball hidden there, and we've got a very choppy wave here. So I'm looking for this to go up and break that top. You can look for a buy. It's more of a scalp. But again, you know, we've got the bearish divergence, so you've got to be careful. You want a nice entry if you're going to buy. And at this stage, yeah, I think you can look for buys. It's more on the lower time frame. I'd be looking at the M15 here. We get a nice impulse up here. So if we get a correction, you look for a buy to go and break the top. Like I said, it's more of a scalp, just to break the top, you know, this top over here. But yeah. So USD CAD, it's pretty much starting to play out how I've been looking. I've been looking at that as a correction. Like we got a we got it like a WXY, X2, and we get this Z down before we possibly get a wave 5 up. But I mean, this more than likely is a larger correction because you know, whatever's happening over here is a lot larger correction than that. So I've already ruled out that wave 5 a long time ago. Once we started to get this that look corrective. So I'd be looking for a sell on this. It's quite difficult though. I don't really like this one here because it didn't come from a top. Like this didn't come from a top, this impulse here. I sort of was, when we had this wave in here, we was looking for 3 down, and we got that to go up and break that top. It didn't quite break that top. That's the problem. You can see here, it didn't quite break the top. So this is more of a wave 3, like a 1, 2, and we're in a wave 3. So you have to wait for a wave 4 and trade a wave 5 down now. So you got to wait for this wave 4 if you're not already on it. Yeah, that's the safest way. Wait for the wave 4 and then look for a sell for the wave 5. The Swissy, I am looking at, if I just zoom out, I mean, you've seen all this before if you follow me for a long time. You know, we had this running triangle in here for this A, B, C on the weekly. And on the daily, I've been looking at all this as corrective, like this in here. We sort of have 3 down breaking this low, and then we get an A, a B, and a C. But the problem was this is very choppy, which is still very much bearish. On the H4, I was looking for a sell. After we had this impulse down in here, breaking the lows, I was looking for a correction in here, and we could have looked for a sell. But instead, we didn't get a correction. We got an impulse up. And if you do look, there is a like between this low and this low, that's a ball hidden. I'm pretty sure it is. I'll just check this platform because I don't use a NIDA on my trading platform. But yeah, you can see here, like this is the low here. It didn't give us a lower low here. So we had that ball hidden there, and it's shot up. And this is looking very corrective here. So you definitely can look for a buy here. Um, it's starting to break out now. So we're starting to get a break of this trend line here. And we've got a high high. We've got a high high here. Um, so we've got a nice impulse up. Now we've got to be very careful here too, because this can become even more complex correction, because we may have an A, B, C here, and we get another one down. So what I'll be looking for is, well, if I just go down to the lower time frame, because it's more on the lower time frame. On the lower time frame, we have 5 up. We have like this, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So after we get 5 up, according to Elliott waves, we usually get a larger correction than these. So I'll be looking for a larger correction than these over here, and then I can get like 5, 3, 5, like 5, a correction, and then another 5 up. So I'm waiting for a larger correction here, larger than these, and then I'll start to look for a buy. Other than that, you're pretty much just scalping, this wave in here. Like this looks bullish here, and on the lower time frames, you may get another one up in here. Yeah, if you're looking for the buy up here, you're just scalping to go and break that top, basically. So I'll be waiting for that larger correction and then looking for the buy. EG, I've mentioned this many times before, but we got the 5 up. I'm looking for a larger correction. So until I get that larger correction, I'm pretty much leaving it alone. I don't really want anything to do with this pair at this stage. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a flat here, an A, a B, and a C flat, and we get an A, B, C. This may turn motive here and give you 5 down, but you either wait for that wave 4 or try to get into some sort of a small correction in here to get into that wave 3. If it turns into a wave 3, and it's very dangerous because we already have like an A, B, C in here, like that A, B, C. So you need a really nice entry to sell. Me personally, I'll be waiting for that larger correction, like I mentioned, and then I'll start to look to buy again. I mean, we were looking for buys on this EG a long time ago. We were looking for the buys down in here and over here, and even over here. And then we had this ball hidden here, this ball hidden in here, to go up and break the top. It did that. So, now we just stay out of it until we get that larger correction. WTI, I would have, like I've mentioned this so many times, I would really like to have seen that low broken, but it hasn't. And on the lower time frame, it's been very choppy. I'm looking for that C up. I'll probably have to change where the fib is here. Oh no, it's already where it should be, but you can see here, I was looking for, even when we had this wave up in here, I was looking for, 61.8 fib retracement. Well, it's come back down to nearly the 90 fib here of this wave here, which is fine, but I'll just be expecting an A, B, and a C up in here, and then possibly more downside. Unfortunately, it hasn't been giving me very nice entries. That's been the problem, trying to get in on this and stay in it without getting your stop loss hit. Like you can see here, it's quite choppy, so you got to be quite careful. But yeah, at this stage, I'd probably be looking at some sort of an A, a B, a C. If I've got a C down in here, some sort of a flat, well, then I could look for like at least an A, B, C, and more than likely this will turn motive and give us 5 up to that 100 fib that I mentioned. This one up here. So this would be my target here, if I get into a nice buy. Gold right up the top of the market. Looking for downside. This is looking corrective. The problem is on the lower time frame. There is that bull hidden there, so we've got to be very careful of this. So we got across in here, so we have that bull hidden, and we had like 3 down in here. So, and this is becoming, it looks very corrective, but it's becoming very deep, and this may just break that top and we get some sort of an A, B, C here. That's what I'm expecting, like an A, B, C. What I don't know is if this correction here, this B wave, goes up and breaks the top, and then we get a running or expanding flat, or we just get a regular, like it falls over from here and we get a regular flat, like an A, B, C. So we got to go down to the lower time frames to get more upside. Before we can look for upside. We got like 1, 2, 3. I was looking for a wave 4 here and a wave 5 up. I don't think that broke the top there. It was very close, but it didn't. See, this top here wasn't broken in the wave 5. So again, it's quite risky. There's no real. It's a very risky sell. There's no real sell. I mean, what I'd be looking at is like the M15. If I was to trade this, I'd be trading it on the M15, and looking at this as the top, and we got like a lower low here. So, if we got a correction, we could look to sell. This may just be like an A, B, and we get a C up in here, a flat on the lower time frames by the look of it, and then we get more downside. So, I'll be looking for the downside, but because we're on M15, it's more of a scalp. Yeah. Silver's pretty much the same as gold, very similar. Gold has broken the top though. It went a lot further. Again, we're right at the top of the market, so you got to be careful. Yeah. I'll be looking for a correction. Like, we sort of have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, and we lost all the divergence here. So I'll be looking for. I mean, we had a flat in here. You could have scalped to break the top. It's already done that, so you can't do that now. But I'll be waiting for a larger correction, and then buy, and then a buy setup because we lost that divergence there. I'll be looking for a larger correction and more upside. Bitcoin right up the top of the market, and we got a nice impulse down. Again, I've been waiting for a nice correction here. We come from the top and we got a nice impulse down. So I'm waiting for this correction. You wait for this correction and then you can trade the C down, like the A, B, C. And if you're lucky, it turns motive and you get 5 down. But I'm pretty much just waiting. I mean, you can try and scalp buys, but if you're going to scalp buys, I'm looking at this as a correction. So it's going to be more than likely very choppy, like corrections are. So you really got to be careful buying into a correction. You can do it, and you're just scalping though. If you're looking for the buys, you're just scalping, and there really isn't, a buy on it because we already have 3 up. We already have like 1, 2, 3 up. There's no divergence there, so there is a chance that we get more upside in here. Get 3 up in here or 5 up in here. So yeah, to play it safe, like the safest way to play this, you'll be sitting on the sideline for quite a while. You'll be waiting for a correction on the daily, and then looking for that C down. Other than that, you're just scalping pretty much. S&P 500 again, right at the top of the market. You be careful buying. It's just about up to that fifth wave on the weekly. If I quickly go to the weekly here, I have shown this before. Classical Elliott wave, like we got 5, 3, and another 5 up. The thing is now is we're just about up to the second target, that 161.8 in this wave 5. So, if you're buying right up the top of the market. It's just scalping, just to go and break the top. You can buy this, but you need, again, you need a correction. I'll remove that and put this on. I'll put the fib retracement on. I should really remove that 38.2, but it doesn't matter. We got a nice impulse up. So if we get a correction in here, you can look to buy, and I'd be targeting that 161.8 on the weekly wave 5 second target. So we really need to wait for this, and that's what I'm waiting for. We had this flat in here, if you remember. I was looking at that as a possible flat there for that A, B, C. Well, that's what happened, and we come up and broke the top, this top here, and even this top here we broke. So again, I'm waiting for a nice correction, and then we can look for buys again. Until that happens, just scalping. AU 200. I'll just go over the weekly here. The daily. We got a nice impulse down from the top. We got bearish divergence, nice impulse down. So we're waiting for a correction in here for at least 3 down. Again, you can scalp buys into a correction, but it's going to be risky, as it can be, quite choppy. So the safest way to play is wait for a correction in here, wait for a complete correction, and then start to look for sells, which will take quite some time to get an entry if you're looking at it that way. Same with the FTSE. We got a nice impulse up. I need a correction here before you can look for a buy again. You need this larger correction. So it's going to take quite some time. On the H4, you can look for a sell. We got this, we got this nice impulse down here from a top. Got an impulse up. This is looking corrective in here. So we get 3 up in here, and then you can look for a sell for at least an A, B, C, and more than likely it'll turn motive. So we just got to be patient and wait for the correction to be complete, and then you can look for the sell. I mean, you can scalp this if you can, for another one up, but it's extremely risky, and you'd just be expecting an A, B, C. So yeah. Lastly, the DAX. I mean, this is already given the correction. This is getting quite complicated because we've already got that impulse up, like the other, indices, and then we've got this like an A, B, C in here, and then we got an A, B, C. So this can be the flat complete, and we go up and break the top for like an A, B, C. Whereas the others, they haven't given this correction yet. They haven't given a correction, whereas this one, this definitely can be complete here as a expanding flat. The H4, it's been very difficult to get in because we really need to, we had an expanding flat in here for an A, B, C. The problem is to get into it, it didn't give us a nice entry. That's the problem. Even on the lower time frames, it didn't give us that nice entry. I can't go into how we, how I look at getting into trades, but like on the H1, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got a ball hidden in here, so you could get in on that wave 5. But to get into this wave 1 here, where is, it would have been quite well. It wouldn't have been a high. It's a highly risky trade. The way the way I teach trading, which I can't go into, but yeah. So we have 5 up in here now. So we wait for a larger correction than these over here, and then we can look for a buy. So yeah, unfortunately, unless you got onto this, where you could get it to break even, because this larger correction may come down and take your entry out where you got into this like A, B, C, for this wave 5 up. So yeah, we wait for a larger correction and look for a buy. I hope you all got something out of this video. If you did, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.